Howdy. In today's video, we are going to ask this question. Why do you hear a lot of successful people on the internet succeed without a degree? So you get these TikTok influencers, people selling products and services online, and they're killing it without a degree. And there's two things that come out of it. They reverse engineered the problem and the solution equation, and they understand leveraging to the max from audience and content mainly, but also you're leveraging your time and your location. So as long as you've got an internet connection, you can work wherever you want, whenever you want, and you're the boss because you're the one dictating the hours and you're the one dictating how entertaining your content is and what type of audience you want to attract. So they understand that you do not need any kind of qualifications to be talking in front of a camera. All you need is an idea and you want to be solving a problem. And they've understand that there's a problem that needs to be solved, and also there's not much friction points or there's not much barriers into solving the problem. Take, for example, appointment setting. All you need to be able to do is to be able to go on Instagram and start DMing people with a casual type of tone and to try to see if you can solve their problem. Where in this case, you'd be probably working for someone selling a service. Let's take, for example, a fitness type of offer. And you're going to be working with an influencer or business owner who's selling a fitness program or fitness one-on-one coaching course. Your job is that the influencer or the business owner has so much attention that they're trying to monetize as much as they can. And they can't do it just on their own. So they're hiring an appointment setter to book their calendar out as much as they can to seek out qualified potential clients to work with and to pay for their course. Okay. So the internet has been so great. It's created these new type of jobs that I guess university and third party and tertiary type of learning they haven't caught up with yet, because the internet has just really democratized jobs and working for yourself to another level. So again, I didn't need any kind of university degree to be able to talk to you guys on camera. So this is what I want to show you guys. Okay, so new jobs that are solving problems. Okay, so if anyone is using podcasts or listening to podcast solves a lot of problems that the university environment or niche or any tertiary learning they couldn't solve. And one thing, a lot of podcasts are for free, and you have to pay for to get the education. So a lot of education is free these days, and a lot of knowledge is free these days. And I'm bet assured that a lot of things that you've been taught and university content is on the internet, and there's going to be free. So it's really podcasts has really democratized education. It's also helped with loneliness. So let's say you're with a bunch of friends or family that they don't resonate with any ideas or topics that you like to talk about. For example, maybe you're into soccer and they don't like listening to soccer. You'd go on a podcast or commentary that talks specifically about soccer. There, you've got your entertainment. And that addresses not so much the loneliness, but I guess you've got someone outside of friends and family to talk about. Okay. And that's another way of consuming content on the go. So one good thing that podcast has against a lot of video streaming, is that when you're watching something, you pretty much have to sit still and put your attention into looking at the visual aspects of the video. Whereas in podcasts, it's almost exactly like a radio, except for they go for way longer. Like minimum a podcast will go for half an hour. And if you listen to a long Joe Rogan podcast, you're listening to it for 3 hours. And if you're captivated by what he has to say, then you could listen to it on the go. You can pause, start, skip, and you don't have to, you can watch components of the podcast and still get a fair bit out of it. So there's no linear start to finish component of watching a podcast. Sometimes there might be, but if we're using the Joe Rogan's podcast, for example, you can skip from start, middle, and finish, and you can listen to wherever you want, which I think which would be an interesting business idea for content creation. If you are making long form content, like minimum an hour or half an hour to max 3 hours long, you got to think about YouTube, I guess, helps people or appreciates that you make long form content for that long. But I guess you could be talking about so many different things for an hour. So I guess a good idea is whether or not you're covering your bases within the hour. You can talk about one topic and another topic and another topic and then another topic to finish it off. And that could go for an hour or two. Something what Joe Rogan does. He's interested in a lot of things. And if you're someone that's interested in a lot of things, why not just say it and try work on your talking skills and your communication skills for the whole hour of recording yourself online, and then post it up, one in a video context, and post it up on YouTube. And then you could probably create a podcast for yourself, but you have to make sure you are consistent with it. People want to be binging, and they can't be binging if you've only got 5 episodes that you release in the last 5 months or even 5 years. So it's a grind. And people love consuming and people love binging. So you better make sure you've got a collection of videos for people to listen to consume. And that's one thing that hasn't happened in the last 10 years. People creating their own podcast and talking about topics that they enjoy. This is a new job that was never created because that wasn't what the market wanted before. But if you can predict in the next 5 years of what the market wants in terms of consuming, do they want more Netflix? Do they want more podcasts? Do they want to go back to radio? If you can predict that, you're going to make a lot of money. So if you can predict the future and how people are going to be consuming content, I think right now it's all been short form. People have just been on the doom scroll, just flicking through TikTok or even Instagram reels. That's a form of consumption of short form content, and that's affected our attention span. But is that going to last forever? Maybe, or maybe not. Or can you predict the next thing that's going to send short form into ancient, past, old school content? Are people going to look at something different? I mean, you could say that podcast is the balance to short form because podcast goes for so long and short form only goes for like a couple of seconds. But you just have to really think, what are people going to do within the next 2 to 3 years? Are they going to be changing the way they're going to be consuming content? Because I'd say someone like myself, I am not consuming kind of content or TV content that is on TV or free TV, nor even sports. So I feel like a lot of people watching highlights now because highlights are for free. And if you're always being busy, it's hard to sit down if you don't have the time to watch 2 hour long games of sport like NBA or even golf or even sometimes UFC if you don't have time for that. So you've really got to think in the next 2 to 3 years, are people's behaviors going to be the same or are they going to shift from somewhere else? Is podcast going to be different? Is short form going to be different? And how are people going to be consuming it? Okay, so that's one thing to start to think about because the world keeps changing. Podcast is still very, very new. It might cement itself. Same thing with short form content. It's very, very new. People's attention span has been decimated because of short form content. And this is a new problem that no one really realizes it. And is it up to you or is it up to, maybe I could solve that problem. But this is definitely a problem that the market the market is hinting. People's attention span has reduced so much, and is this something that the market wants fixed? I believe it's something that to start thinking about. How can you make short form, I guess, less addictive or more addictive, but helpful for people, mainly kids these days. Okay, so if we focus on the content creation component, again, content creation is very new. Ever since YouTube, everyone becomes YouTube famous, and you don't have to go through the typical avenue or being a movie star or in Hollywood to become famous, or even like 20 years ago, being a celebrity chef was brand spanking new. But nowadays, you don't even need to be a celebrity chef. You just need a camera and you need good lighting and you need some recipes to be uploading and at least a couple of hundred of videos for people to be watching you, because you don't need to be into hospitality and applying for chef trade. All you need to do is camera and just show people that you can cook. Have you seen those videos where people are just snapshotting snippets of them chopping, cooking, and creating a dish? Now that is very new, and that is still considered like a cooking type of job. But you're leveraging videos, and you're leveraging the fact that you want that video to go viral, you want that attention, so you can create so much noise and attention that you're going to get people like advertisers and affiliates wanting to put their ads and their product on your uh, Instagram profile. Okay, and that's a part of marketing that is now very new. You can self market yourself if you're very interesting. You can draw that attention. People want that attention because attention is so valuable these days. Okay, and that's the same thing as making your own show, short form entertainment, and this is disrupting the mainstream service. Again, if we think about things that create new type of jobs, the reason why new types of jobs enter the market is because you're disrupting something that was very normal, and they weren't expecting disruption. Okay, no one was expecting YouTube to be pretty much the number one thing that people are using and consuming. People thought YouTube was going to be number two, or it's just going to work alongside of mainstream TV and cable TV and even national TV. But people are just going on the news to get different types of news now. No one's watching mainstream news for their information. A lot of people consuming news on the internet, and that's really destroyed a lot of journalism jobs, because now anyone can be a journalist. You don't need to go to university to be a journalist. All you need to do is be very good with analyzing information, and then to be able to filter that out, the relevant type of information, and to be able to relay it so that people can understand what you're trying to say, and to inform and educate your audience. Okay, so again, it's another form of education that you can try to do. It's not just being entertaining, but if you've got a skill to teach, content creation lets you teach to the masses. So that's one thing to start to think about as well. So online communities are very new and they're becoming more and more popular. So you can create a community on Telegram. The good thing about Telegram, it's privatized. So all the information that you're using on Telegram, it's protected, and you don't have to worry about people stealing your audience as well. So this is like another form of email marketing. You use like a funnel. So let's say you've got a YouTube video that's taking in 10,000, 100,000 of views, and then you direct people to your Telegram, where you're actually owning that attention and you're owning that audience. And that way you can start to influence and educate things that you want your audience to hear or buy. And that's another way of marketing that you can start to do. Again, Discord servers, another way to nurture your audience, and another way to decentralize from YouTube or any other social media network to make your own kind of network from a different platform. And that's the same thing with School, created by Sam Ovens. It's a $99 fee, but you can also form a community, and you can also charge an entry fee or a monthly subscription fee on top of the School subscription, which is a lot of money. But again, if you're charging a lot of money, you're trying to I guess, qualify the right people, as in the people who are willing to pay $200 a month for the subscription and your subscription as well. So online communities are getting more and more popular, and something that you should start to think about in terms of how the world is moving forwards in terms of consuming content, and what people's behaviors are going to be like. Because if you think about human behavior, psychology, and business, they tie in very well. Business is solving problems, and human psychology are problems that we have trouble kind of figuring out. So we want someone to solve for them. Hence, We allow corporations and businesses to solve problems for you, i.e., Uber Eats solved the delivery problem, and it also increased jobs for people who have cars. So you can also, again, don't need a qualification and you need money on demand. You can be using your own car and delivering food services to people. And the last thing about content creation is self-improvement. Okay, we watch self-improvement content, but why not make your own channel and record like a personal uh, video diary of your own self-improvement and whether or not this is going to help other people in terms of how they resonate with someone like a typical person that isn't famous, maybe started from the bottom, middle class, relatable, have bills to pay. These are things that people like to compare, and I think that's one thing I heard in terms of our human evolution. We like to compare a lot of things. I think that's like where gossip comes from, and where we have to always want the better thing. We all want progress, but to compare is the same as self improvement. You do not want to. You're wanting to self improve because you don't want to be the same version of yourself 6 months before, even a day before. You're working towards self improvement, and if there's a way to measure it, why not use YouTube videos and record yourself, and then you can analyze how you are talking right now to what you were doing 2 weeks ago. And for myself, I've already made like 10 videos in the last 2 weeks, I think, or even 3 weeks. And I didn't think that I'll get this far, but I'm still at the start of it. And I know there's so much for me to improve. I know where I am today is nowhere where I want to be in 6 to 12 months time. I want to be talking with so much more conviction, intent, my tone and inflections. I want them all to be crisp, sharp, smooth, get that whiz that the kids are saying. That's all based on self-improvement. And why not start a YouTube channel and another way to analyze how you are talking? Because if you can do this in front of a camera, I'm sure this is going to help with public speaking, because public speaking, I'd say, is harder. But if this is warm up and if this is training in the gym, and I've already made 10 videos, and I'm turning this to a habit. I'm turning this into bite-sized pieces. So if I'm preparing myself for whenever it does come and I have to do public speaking, I am going to be ready, because there's still probably going to be some kind of fear and anxiety because it's a different environment. I'm not talking in front of a camera. I'm going to be talking in front of people, but this is still practice. I mean, freestyling on ideas, it's definitely hard to do. And your job is to stop kind of adding filler words, to disassociate from ums and ahs and filler words and thinking about what people are saying about you. You're going to make mistakes, but the more quick problems that you aim to correct, the better it is. So another video about why you need to be creating content. It's a new form of a job without a qualification. You don't need university to do. And let me say this last thing. If you made it this far into the video, I thank you for listening to me talk. And this is one thing that people keep saying, and I need to repeat it myself. No one talks about self-improvement in primary school, high school, or in university. So if anyone's watching this, you really need to start thinking about this, because your teachers aren't talking about self-improvement. And self-improvement is something where you do not have to fit in a system or a job that you think it might help you because it's going to earn you, relatively normal wages. But relatively normal wages now are low in the next 10 years' time, wherever you are, especially in the Western society. So, and one thing about being taught things in university, high school and primary school, they teach you fundamental things, which is really good, but they don't teach you how to be you and how to be a better version of you, how to eat healthy food, how to grow stuff. Why is it so important to have a garden and to have soil growing, nutritious, luscious food, how to think introspectively in terms of why you're making the same mistake. Why you're making the same mistake is something that you need to solve, not your teacher, not your parents. Only you have the answer to that, because you're going to be making these videos, you're going to be talking in front of a camera, and you're going to be the one figuring out, I wonder why I am stuttering and why I'm saying, That's the personality that you've developed, and this is who you think you are. But you shouldn't be thinking about who you are right now, but who you should become. Because as I said in my previous video from the Sam Ovens podcast, currently you are the lowest version of yourself, and you have the lowest standards of yourself. And this is where you're not. This is where you do not want to be. This is where all the confusion comes from and all the unfulfillment comes from. You want to envision what it feels like, what it looks like, and what your day looks like if you were earning way more money, way more healthier, and surrounded by a lot more like-minded people. That's what you want to be writing on a piece of paper, and that's what you want to be envisioning. And that's it for today's video. I'm going to be talking more about this in the next video. So thank you for watching. Peace.